Hey guys, welcome back. If you didn't guess by these bottles, then, well, guess what? I checked out Yusuf Bhai's store in Dubai, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. So, let's get into it. So, as you can see here, I have 3 bottles from the lovely store of Yusuf Bhai out in Dubai. So, I'm gonna talk about my entire experience there. I do have some footage from when I went there, and I'll talk a little bit about that in detail. So first of all, if you don't know Yusuf Bhai, the entire perfume kind of boutique that he has is geared towards cost-effective dupes. Now, that being said, if you didn't check out my little snippet of the new Yusuf Bhai Fragrances, he also does have these unique, one-off creations. Now, I'll get into some of the stuff he has later in this video, but let's get into what happened when I was there. What was it like? So first of all, when you walk into Yusuf Bhai, the store itself is not that big, and I'll actually let you guys see that firsthand. So I'll take a break in just the yapping, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So here you go. So as you can see, this wall has all single accords on it, and then these seem to be like their pre-mixed formulations, which they basically are gonna, take these and they'll make like the EDP or like EDT, whatever, of whatever fragrance you want, right? And then we go over here and we look at these little carts. So then we have these carts right here. These carts actually have all of the products in them. So see, basically it's like Yusuf Bhai, Black Phantom, right? And you have all kinds of fragrances, and I think there's an Imagination clone right here. Yeah. So this is Yusuf Bhai Imagination, and they have like basically all these carts here. And in the back wall, you saw all of like their personal creations with like this niche line right here that's coming out, and you probably saw this in my shorts, right? So this one is I forget what the fragrance is called, but it's a red box. This is the fungus one, Tears of Poppy. Yeah. So like I said, these two right here, these are really good. So White Temptation, Tears of Poppy, these ones are good. I personally would not get either of them, but I could see why they would be mass appealing. These ones, I guess they're trying to go for like niche and funky, so I guess maybe someone like Milan Scent would be into this. And this one has like this cannabis accord that I'm really not like the biggest fan of. All right, so now you saw how the store is. It's a very cafe style ambiance. Now, I did not get a custom made fragrance. I didn't bring something with me. Now, if you do want something that is custom made, say if you have a discontinued fragrance you have in mind, but you're not sure if they have it, then you should bring it with you just in case, because they state that they smell the fragrance and they base off the whole creating a fragrance based off of the smell itself, which honestly, everyone's olfactory senses are subjective. So do I really believe that? I don't know. But that being said, how are the 3 that I got? What are the 3 that I got? So I got Gris Charnel, Purpose 50 by Amouage, and I got Stellar Times by Louis Vuitton, which I've said time and time again is the best Louis Vuitton fragrance and my favorite Louis Vuitton fragrance. Now, before I get into what smells like what, let me talk about the cons. So first con is one of the bottles, unfortunately, was not properly tightened. So if you look, when you take off the cap, you'll see that this collar is nice and tight. Now, unfortunately, the bottle of Stellar Times is not on properly. And actually, if you can look right there, you'll see a bead of some liquid is actually coming down the side of the bottle right here. So unfortunately, this one was not sealed properly. I actually will look into probably transferring this to another bottle if I can't fix this collar situation, because I don't want this to continue leaking. So this is this is the bottle of Stellar Times. So that's the first con. This was not properly sealed and it's leaking. If the camera can get the slick on my fingers, you'll see a lot of leakage. Now, the next thing that's a con, which actually is something kind of big. I think that the perfumer made an error. So while this does smell like Stellar Times in the dry down, I do believe they accidentally took some of the Gris Charnel and they mixed it in with this. And the reason why I say that is because in the opening, I get a lot of like the Gris Charnel, kind of aspect, that fig note, the cardamom, which you should not be getting either in Stellar Times. If you know the notes, it's just some of like Louis Vuitton's famous amber. It's some orange blossom and some woody notes. So I should not be smelling anything that I smell out of this bottle in this one. So what I think happened is, unfortunately, cross-contamination. Now, that being said, humans are humans. We all make mistakes. I'm not going to say that this is the most perfect review. And honestly, that's another, yes, it was like, there's more coming out. So there's just, yeah. It smells great, but it's just, unfortunately, I don't want my fragrance to come out on my fingers. I want it to come out of the atomizer. Human error. I think they accidentally took some of what was in the beaker when they made this, and they might have not cleaned it out properly, probably didn't do a proper wash with enough perfumer's alcohol or with diacylglycerol, because I do believe these are oil-based, but I don't think that this was washed properly, like the beaker itself was washed properly before they started to mix the Stellar Times. So, the smell of the Stellar Times itself, I think is going to be affected in my review. I think maybe, I take my review for this particular smell with a grain of salt from the Yusuf Bhai line. If someone else has a fresher batch, or maybe a batch that didn't have any errors, or just bought Stellar Times, maybe they can give a better non-conflicting review, but let me talk about this. So first, like I said, when I first spray this on, it has this, cardamom fig-like opening, which you do not get with Stellar Times. And about an hour in, the cardamom, the fig goes away. So it's very clear that they were not supposed to be in here, nor are they really dominating, but they are there. But once they go away, then you are left with essentially Stellar Times. I'd say it's about like a 90% like closeness, and the longevity is not bad. I get about 6 hours on this, which honestly, I have to say is pretty good for the price point. Now, the next one is going to be Gris Charnel. Now, this one, I have to say, is definitely pretty good. But after smelling some of the other ones in the bay, you've seen my video on that perhaps on my shorts or on my Instagram. I have to say that that one I think really does take the cake. And that is, Paris Corners Oud Beyond the Wall. Sorry, not behind. Beyond the Wall. which is from the Ministry of Oud collection, which I think is a phenomenal dupe of Gris Charnel EDP. Now, the reason why I say that one is kind of inching over, that one is like $33 to like $45, guys, whereas this is, I think, around the 45-ish range. So the fact that you can get that at discounters for closer to 30-something dollars, 100% makes it worth it. Now, how close is this one? This one is definitely really close. It's really well. And the longevity of this is actually really amazing for the price point. On close, I've gotten like more than, I've gotten more than 48 hours. Now, that being said, the next one honestly just takes the cake, and I am just shocked at the quality of this one. This is a dupe of Amouage's Purpose 50. If you haven't smelled that, it's this creamy, woody fragrance, which I think is essentially what you would imagine with a leveled up version of Santal 33. Does this have sandalwood in it? Maybe a little bit, but this one really is this, sweet, woody, slightly floral fragrance, and it smells amazing. It's also like 1-to-1. I honestly, like, I don't want to do the whole 90% stick here. It's just the 1-to-1. There's very few fragrances that I'm ever going to push on you and tout as like, yo, this is it, right? But when I say that this is it, like, this is it. If you don't want to pay the amount for Purpose 50, but you like the smell, then this from Yusuf Bhai will get you the exact same fragrance. The longevity on this thing is insane. How insane is it? I sprayed it on a hoodie. I left that hoodie separate and I did not touch it. For an entire week, this thing smelled like Purpose 50. I went to go put it on after a week and I got a huge whiff of Purpose 50. That's how strong this one is. So the Gris Charnel one, not bad. Longevity is pretty good. Stellar Times longevity, about 6 hours. The issue though is that initial opening, which I do think is, slightly tainted, and also the longevity and performance projection, everything I think also might be skewed because of the whole mix up with the Gris Charnel stuff. Now, if I had to pay for one again and again though, I'm going to be copying this Purpose 50 again because it is crazy close, crazy strong, long as hell. Like, it is everything you want when it comes to a dupe. And what is better than a dupe of a Middle Eastern fragrance from the Middle East? So Yusuf Bhai, you definitely did a great job, or at least your company did a great job with Purpose 50. So if I had to buy any of these again, 100% it's going to be Purpose 50. I think Yusuf Bhai, well, at least the company of Yusuf Bhai did a phenomenal job with this one. I would 100% buy it again. I will recommend other people to buy this one because I think it's such a great fragrance. Now, that being said, the availability and the kind of methodology of Yusuf Bhai, I think, is just a little bit difficult. Having to buy these and then refrigerate them for 4 days is kind of annoying because it's like, if you're there, you kind of really have to make that your first stop. And if you're not there, then the trouble comes in transit, right? So even if you do get the fragrance, as soon as possible, it might take you a little bit of time just to get to your mail or your, UPS, DHL, whatever it is, and then get this thing in the fridge. Now, I do understand that fragrances need to macerate. They do need to be, in a cold temperature. I understand that, but that kind of takes away the joy from people, buying. A lot of people are used to macerating, over a couple of weeks, maybe even up to a month. But I think the whole putting this in the fridge might turn some people off. And the biggest issue is if you do have a leakage like this, You know, there should be some better method of sealing these bottles. I don't think doing a press seal is smart if you're going to have bottles like this, because if the press seal fails and you have a consumer in the US like myself, well, guess what? You're SOL. Because now there's nothing I can do about this being not crimped properly, not sealed properly. All I can do is get another 100 ml bottle, break this sucker open, and pour it out. And I also have to be careful now when I break this open to make sure I don't break open the glass. Because if I break open the glass, then I have to get a filter. And then when I have to get a filter, I have to make sure it's proper microns amount to make sure I'm not getting any kind of glass filtrate into the new bottle. So how would I rate everything in terms of Yusuf Bhai? I mean, the ambiance of the store, definitely like a 9 out of 10. I really love like the whole cafe kind of subtle vibe. Also, I went during a time where it wasn't a rush. The store I went to, by the way, you know, like I mentioned, it's located in Satwa, not in Dera, right? Dera is like the main area that was like the original location. It's also a tinier shop. I went to a shop that was a little bit bigger. Also, I appreciate the quietness. You know, sometimes when you're in a store, especially like when I go into Sephora, I don't want to have people hounding me, but that always happens. And it's kind of annoying when you're trying to smell things. So I did enjoy, there wasn't a ton of foot traffic. So 9 out of 10 for the ambiance and just the setup. That being said, I do wish that the little cart that they had with all the fragrances was a little bit more, you know, friendly for like, you know, a customer to just kind of grab and smell. I think it's a little bit difficult, whereas like things are not organized. You know, maybe having the rack completely laid out versus in tiers and on the ground. You know, so either I've got to squat down or bend over just to kind of grab something, spray it, smell it, move on to the next. It'd be a little bit better if everything was kind of on a level where I can just pick one, smell it, and then pick another, and just kind of work through things like that. Kind of like how they have that back wall and that side wall with all of the oils themselves. So that's why I gave it -1. So I think everything else is phenomenal except for that one little thing. Now, the other thing is the fragrances themselves. I smelled a couple of fragrances there other than these, and I do think that a lot of them are great. I actually purchased a bunch of the oils because they're phenomenally priced and they smell amazing. They're simple. The apple was great. I actually regret not getting that. I just did not have enough room. I did get the dates, the oud as a gift, the orchid one as a gift as well. But honestly, I wanted to buy them all except for the vetiver one. That one was I guess I'm not the biggest vetiver fan, enough to get that at least. But they were all so good. Like literally each one over the last, I couldn't pick which one I loved more. Just, I could wear them all. And they're definitely great for layering with other fragrances. You know, that apple one, for instance, I think would be phenomenal with anything from the Angel Share DNA. It has this apple kind of slightly boozy vibe to it. I don't know why, but at least it did to me. But it's just apple. And it just smells great. And I think it would go good with any of like the Angel Share style fragrances just because of that apple note. Maybe not Angel Share on the Rock, because it takes away from that lovely orange and lemon you get with Angel Share on the Rocks. But the rest, honestly, phenomenally would work well with that one. That being said, the fragrances that are, you know, their own unique creations, some of them, So for fragrances, all in all, I would rate them a 6.5 out of 10. Because like you saw, like Yusuf Bhai Pour Homme, you know, it's definitely better priced than Jeremy Fragrances stuff, but I just don't think it's worth, you know, I just don't think it's worth the money they're charging. The other thing is the whole private niche collection. You heard what I said. If you didn't see the shorts video I did, you know, basically they are just trying too hard to be something unique. I think they got like a whiff of some like ultra niche stuff, or maybe someone just went down the rabbit hole on Milan Scents page on Instagram and were like, hey, we're gonna smell super weird things and make sure people like these smells. Well, they failed miserably at the latter, because I did not like most of those smells. The only one I thought was appealing really was those two, the white floral one, the red one, and that blue one. I forget the name of it. Those were the, I think it was a poppy seed one, but those were the only two that were really kind of worth it. And even then, the blue one, that poppy seed kind of vibe, it really kind of just gave me a designer fragrance feel. So I really don't see why they're kind of aiming at a niche level of cost. But that was my experience at Yusuf Bhai. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me guys know below if you do want to see these on my site. I honestly, even if you guys ask, I'm not gonna list the Purpose 50. I'm gonna be super, super greedy with that one. It's just so good. You know, maybe I'll do a giveaway in a future video. Maybe give you guys a couple decants of this, a couple samples. At max, I'm probably gonna give 20 mLs to 4 lucky people. But guys, comment down below which Yusuf Bhai fragrance or what fragrance you would like to bring to Yusuf Bhai. I personally would like to bring Bulgari's Pour Homme Extreme, because I do love that. I don't like how much tea is in the Pour Homme EDP, which, yeah, it's a good fragrance, but I think Pour Homme EDP kind of gets too similar to something like Imagination, and I really just did enjoy that citrus profile in the EDT, and it just had like this lovely, you know, bold character that wasn't as, you know, bold and tea forward as the EDP is. So that's the one I would go for, Bulgari Pour Homme Extreme, the EDT version. So guys, let me know which one you would like to see though. Are you into discontinued fragrances, making a revival through something like Yusuf Bhai, or do you want to just see something expensive like Stellar Times be duped or Purpose 50? So spend better, spray smart. I'll see you guys next time.